Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you here on this new webinar about how to get involved, how to get prepared for the upcoming International Astronautical Congress, and how to make effective presentation for your involvement in the Congress. This webinar is offered by the IAF PS Lab in collaboration with the International Program Committee, and I'm so happy to moderate this webinar together with Dr. Handmer, my co-chair. Hi, Annie.
Hi, Alfonso. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Dr. Annie Handmer. I'm an honorary affiliate at the University of Sydney in Australia, and it's an absolute honour to be serving with Professor Alfonso Pagani as IPC Co-Chair for IAC 2024 in Milan. Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you very much, Annie. We also have a very important guest we will introduce later on during this webinar. So my name indeed is Alfonso Pagani. I'm also a member of the Italian Association of Aeronautics and Astronautics and co-chair together with Annie of the IPC steering group here at IAF. So let me share with you the agenda of this webinar. These are the points we will be touching all together, and the webinar will last something like 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. It will be a kind of interactive webinar. So if you have any questions, feel free to type your questions in the chat. We will do our best to answer. And anyway, be informed that the webinar will be available also for later views to anyone not attending live. So be prepared. Well, if you are here, I suppose we have been selected to give an oral or interactive presentation during the IAC in October in Milan. So congrats, everyone. So you have been working on your research for months, if not here, and now it's really time to get prepared for this. Preparing an effective presentation about your research is not easy at all. And you cannot start preparing your talk in September or October. You need to start now. And this is not a matter of experience, it's a matter of importance of giving your contribution to a very prestigious program that we are hosting at IAC. The first steps you need to do to optimize your involvement are here in this slide. So you already received a notification letter from the chair of the symposia that will host your presentation. And in this notification letter, you will find the most important information you need at this stage to start preparing. First of all, you will learn about the duration of your presentation. As you know, the duration of your presentation depends on the symposium itself, to the single session. So there are sessions hosting presentations of 10 minutes or sessions hosting presentation of 15 minutes. The mean time for oral presentation is 12 minutes. So be informed that you will need to tune your presentation according to this exact time you will have at your own disposal. The second step you need to do is to share this information with your co-authors. So maybe you are corresponding author or you are the speaker. Well, you will be the one receiving the notification letter. Be assured that all the co-authors involved in the research work you're going to present are aware of this notification letter. It is always important for ethical issues, for ethical reasons, to share everything happening regarding your research with your peers. Another suggestion we can make is to rewatch this webinar. As I told you, it will be available later on, so you can watch anytime you like. We will give you not just technical tips, but also tips about how to prepare your presentation, both oral and interactive. and hopefully that will be quite useful for everyone. Understand the IAC audience. Well, you know that the program at IAC is quite large. We received almost 7,000 abstracts. We select more than 4,000 abstracts, so the program will be large. During your presentation, you will meet technical people, so people working exactly on your research topic, but also curious scientists and curious researchers. And they will maybe need to understand the big picture behind your research. So do your best to deliver your message to a large audience. You know that we have, during IC, we will lost two different formats. We have oral presentations, so the classical oral presentations and the interactive presentations. The two formats have different template and different way to deliver your speech. We will discuss this later on. An important point is that you need to prepare your manuscript. This is mandatory for both oral presentations and interactive presentations. So start now. Writing a manuscript, you know, it's not easy. And this is mandatory for giving a presentation at IAC. Next step is do not miss the deadlines. We will have no extension, so be careful about these deadlines because they are very important and they will allow us and the organization committee to deliver the best Congress ever. And also, this is also a very important tip, is to prepare for the venue, prepare for your participation to the Gross Congress in terms of logistics. So transport, so air flight tickets, registration, and also start looking for your accommodation. Milan can be a very crowded city. We have so many hotels around the MICO, the Congress venue, but our suggestion is to start as soon as possible to look for the best accommodation for you. So we already mentioned the deadlines. You can find this information on the IAF website and also the IAC website. These are very important deadlines that you cannot miss. Today is May the 16th. We are the nozzle Anis. We are here at the bottom of our rocket. And so we are just starting. We are just starting the lift off. But we have very soon the first stage, June the 14th. Well, in this date, very important date, all the authors are supposed to confirm their attendance to the Congress. You don't need necessarily to wait June the 14th. You can start as soon as possible. You can do it right now. This is very important for us because if you are not attending, this will allow us the possibility to send new notification letters to backup presentation authors. So do this as soon as possible. Next step we have is June 17 to 28. And this is the date in which we will send new notification letters. June the 13th, this is very important because this is the deadline for register to IAC 2024 and take advantage of the early registration. So if you really want to save some money for your registration, this is the date you need to keep in mind. It's not just a matter of saving money. This is also a matter of giving your contribution for the success of the Congress. So this is the best way at this moment you can support the IAF, the host organization, and the local committee to organize the best Congress ever. Start planning your attendance as soon as possible and register as soon as possible. July the 5th, you will have the possibility to upload your lightning talk. This is optional, but very important. We saw that over the years, there are many authors providing lightning talks. It's a very short pre-recording talk of 1 minute. And our experience is that if you deliver this lightning talk, you will have more audience in your session. So people are really looking forward to understand early in advance what's happening in your research and what you will be presenting during the session. So our suggestion is to do it. September the 6th, this is the last deadline for registering, so for those that are not able to register by June the 13th, this is the new deadline. In September the 20th, you will be asked to upload your final manuscript. This is mandatory for both the oral presentation authors and the IP authors. Starting from this year, moreover, we will have the possibility to associate a DOI code to each single paper. So it's a huge opportunity for all the authors. By September the 27th, you will need to submit your final presentation through the IAF platform. So this is very important. You can upload your presentation in PPT format or PDF format, and this will be most likely your final presentation. Of course, there will be the possibility to make minor modifications later on during the Congress, which will happen from 14 to 18 of October. If you look on the right-hand side of this presentation, you have the same deadlines for the IP authors, presenting authors. It's pretty much the same. We have some minor differences. The main difference is the date in which you need to deliver your presentation. We will discuss later on that the IP has an own format. We are delivering very attractive, technological, advanced interactive presentations, and we will use a dedicated platform, and we need to upload the presentation early in advance to allow the system to be prepared for the final Congress. So this deadline is September the 17th. All the other deadlines are the same, including the deadline for submitting your final manuscript, which is, again, obligatory for IP authors as well. Next step in the agenda is oral presentation. What is an oral presentation? Well, this is what happens in classical technical sessions. We have here a series of authors presenting their work one by one and giving talks of 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the number of selected abstract. You will have a podium from which you will talk to the audience, and you will have next to you a table with the chairs, the chairpersons moderating the session. These presentations are delivered in dedicated rooms with seated audience, and this is exactly a lecture style format. So you will be aware if you have an oral presentation, because you will see this in your notification letter. So be sure that this is your format you have been selected to. This year, the technical committee had the possibility to change the format according also to your wish. You have selected during the submission of the abstract, but also depending on the possibility to fit all the sessions according to the availability. As you know, we had a large number of abstracts submitted. Now, this is very important. All the authors, all the speakers are supposed to come to their own sessions up to 10 minutes before the start of their session. The reason is that you are supposed, of course, to meet with your session chairs and other speakers. This is always good. And also, it is good also to start talking with the audience and gain confidence with the room. Upload your PowerPoint slide through the IAF intranet. This is important, but you will also have the possibility to upload a new version of your presentation in dedicated speaker preparation rooms at the Congress venue the day before your session. So don't come a few minutes earlier to upload the new presentation, because this will not be allowed. Anyway, always keep your presentation in a dedicated USB key, just to be prepared for any inconvenience. Together with the podium and the chair and the table, sorry, we will have a timer. So you will see exactly the time you have to make and conclude your speech. This is very important because the schedule is very strict. We will have many presentations, and this is always a good habit to end by the time you have to allow other speakers to get their own time as well. This is a very important also point here, that as usual, as always, we will not allow papers to people not showing up during their session. So we will apply a strict policy during the IAC: no show, no paper, no paper, no show. For any questions, of course, you have, you can use the chat, or you can also contact us later on at this address you can see here. Exceptionally, this year, we have no blank spots in this table. So we will have all the rooms at MICO during the Congress occupied by sessions. We will host more than 190 sessions this year. And as you see, the program is very huge. So be sure to find your spot in this table, and be sure to be there as suggested. Regarding interactive presentation, Annie, I will give the floor to Joseph to give your ideas.
Thank you so much, Alfonso. That was a great overview of the deadlines and of the oral presentations. More mysterious for some people will be the interactive presentations. You might be familiar with poster sessions, for example. The interactive presentation is not a poster session. It is another form of presentation that is just as important as the oral presentations, and in some ways offers an even more special opportunity to present research to an interested group of people. So I'm going to just run through how it works and some tips. And I apologize because my cat has decided to come into the room and sit on my lap, and she might meow. I'll just introduce her now so that if she is noisy, you know what that was. So this is Gloria. Anyway, I'm sure we all have the same problem with our cats. So what the interactive presentation offers is a chance to present your work in a visual format, and it offers more opportunities for interaction and discussion than the oral format, which is why I think in many ways it's unique and very, very fun to do. You create your interactive presentation via the IP editor, so you'll need to get familiar with that tool. Now, the format is very flexible. So normally what happens is the author formally introduces their presentation, and then there are small group discussions. But you can really take this and run with it. If you would like to talk with the people that you're presenting to as you go and answer questions as you go, you have the freedom to do that. If an argument sparks between two people attending your interactive presentation, you have the freedom to go with that argument or shut that argument down. So it's a very exciting way of doing it. So each interactive presentation is scheduled for 10 minutes. You book your speaking slot, and that includes the Q&A in that 10-minute presentation time. You must be present at the beginning of the whole IP session. So not just for the 10 minutes that you booked, but the whole session. That means you can meet with the moderators and with the other speakers. And it also shows respect to other presenters in the same way that for an oral presentation, you have to turn up at the beginning of the session, not just for your talk. So please make sure you factor that in. Now, we also have an award ceremony. So for the best interactive presentations, and they're the ones that are the most innovative and the most exciting and the most communicative, we have an award ceremony, which is on Thursday, the 17th of October at 1 o'clock. The last thing to say is that you have to go in through this link, and you'll be able to find that information to submit a full paper. So you must submit a full paper, and you must also create an interactive presentation. If you are someone who does not have IT skills and you're worried about this, do not worry. I've been told, and we'll hear more about it in a minute, that you can just upload a PowerPoint presentation and that will work. But if you are someone who wants to get creative, then this is a great opportunity to do that. Again, we have a no show, no paper, no show policy, which means that if you don't turn up, you don't get the credit for having done a presentation, and you don't get a paper. And if you don't submit your interactive presentation and your paper text, your full paper, then you do not get the credit for having done the presentation. So please make sure that you keep that in mind. It is the same rules across the IP and the oral presentation. We should go to the next slide. Great. Alfonso, did you want to talk to this slide with the schedule, or I can?
Yeah, it's okay. This is just important, I think, because exceptionally from this year, we are hosting 90 monitors for the IP session, which means that we will have IP sessions every day. This was not the case in the previous editions. And this was a special effort from the IAF and also AIDA, the host, to host all these IP sessions and to allow everyone to present at the IAC. And this was an exceptional case here because of the large number of abstracts we received. So don't miss this new schedule, because we will have very long and many IP sessions here.
Thank you so much. So we have, as I mentioned, the interactive presentation, or IP, competition and IP award ceremony. So if you publish your presentation through the IP editor by the 17th of September deadline, you are automatically eligible for the competition. The 5 best interactive presentations from the Congress, so that's 1 per category, are announced during an IP award ceremony, which, as I mentioned, will be on Thursday, the 17th of October from 1 till 1:30 p.m. These are the categories listed here, which you'll be familiar with. Now, we invite all IP authors to attend the event and find out if you were among the winners. The selection criteria are based on just the created IP that you submit, not your talk. So that means that we reward creativity and effort put into the production of the interactive presentation that is uploaded. And what the judges look for is the overall appearance, the clarity of the content, the organization and flow, and the creativity and quality of the overall work. I really encourage you to think about how you can make your presentation as good as possible, because I went to the award ceremony last year and it was a really fun event. So now we'll talk a little bit about how to prepare an engaging presentation. So this is, everyone has their own way of doing it, but I think these are some very good rules. So firstly, for oral presentations, follow a 1 minute per slide rule. No faster, no slower. That means that no one will get bored if you're sitting on a slide for too long. And also, if you're going too quickly through your slides, firstly, you might run out of time. And secondly, you may lose your audience. For an interactive presentation, follow all the instructions that you will be given by our special guest, Isaac, at the end of this webinar. But a little bit to think about is your delivery script and how you structure your presentation. And you'll have to think about this for an oral presentation and an interactive presentation. So a suggestion is that you have just 7 slides. So your title slide will give the title, the co-authors, and affiliations. It's very important for ethical reasons and just because it's the right thing to do, as Alfonso said, to make sure you credit your co-authors and all your affiliations. Then you can have an introduction, explain what was the objective of your study or your research. You can use bullet points. There is nothing worse than looking at a slide that has way too many words on it. So try to reduce the number of words and just include the really important things. Then we suggest you have a slide about methods. Again, use bullet points. And if you need more slides here, you can add more slides, but think about what can you get through in a minute with one slide. Try and stick to that rule. Then you will want to have your results. We suggest that you don't use too much text. Try and use images or graphs and then explain what they mean and why they're important. You'll want to talk about your study limitations because normally that's what people ask questions about. So include a slide about that and you'll make sure you don't get any sticky questions at the end. And be really open about them, because when you get to the discussion at the end, what you don't want is to be in a defensive position. What you want is to say, yeah, I'm aware of these limitations. Now let's have a conversation about what we can learn from these results. Then you'll want to have a conclusion and acknowledgement if that is appropriate to your presentation. We suggest that you keep the opening simple and professional and then give a short outline of what you'll be talking about in your presentation. We suggest you be really clear about your methods. That's often something that becomes a problem and you end up with too many questions about. And finally, less is more. So try to just have as little on the slides as you need to get through the presentation and make it clear. So I think this is a helpful rule. My own tip is also that when you're preparing your content, present to someone who knows nothing about your research. So a family member, a parent, a friend, a cousin, and present the whole presentation to them and then ask them at the end whether they enjoyed it. Because ideally, you'll have people in the room who will and won't understand all of the detail of what you're talking about. But if they felt like they came along for the ride and they enjoyed the experience, then that's ultimately very important and they'll feel included. And often if if they really don't understand, they won't have enjoyed it. I think on the next slide, we talk a bit about how to deliver your presentation confidently. This is something that I get lots of questions about from people because it's nerve-wracking to stand up in front of a group of people. And honestly, I think the interactive presentations are even more scary because people are sort of around you in a little semicircle and you're just talking about your research. So there's nothing to hide behind. However, we have some tips to maximize your success. So firstly, practice, practice, practice. I mentioned before, I suggest practicing in front of a friend or a colleague or, someone who doesn't know much about your research. I also suggest you practice to yourself. So you can just do your presentation and film yourself and then watch it back. It's the fastest way to learn what works and what doesn't work. And it's incredibly difficult and painful to do, but it really has results. The other thing that you can do is join our IAF Public Speaking and Presentation Skills Lab, which is on Sunday, the 13th of October at 4 p.m. Other tips to deliver your presentation confidently involve making sure that you find and check where you're going to be speaking before you're actually speaking there. So go the previous day if you can, and just have a look at it, understand the space, understand, how much you'll need to project versus if it's a very intimate space, consider how that will affect your presentation. Watch other people presenting and check what it feels like to be in the audience. Be really ready with your technology and your logistics. Make sure that you talk into your microphone. Do not turn to the side. Don't hold your microphone down near your belly button. No one will be able to hear you. The microphone is there for a reason. Do not be scared of it. And make sure that you practice with it so you understand. Make sure you show up at least 10 minutes prior to the start of your session so that you're not flustered and stressed. And meet with your session chairs and other speakers from the session before you start so that you know what's happening. Sit in the front row so that you're ready to stand up quickly when it's your turn. Be aware that if someone doesn't turn up and there's a no-show, then their speaker lineup could be reordered. So make sure that you arrive 10 minutes early and be mindful that you need to make sure you aren't delaying people by being unable to be found when it's your turn to present. Make sure that you bring a copy of your presentation on a USB just in case, and also publish your interactive presentation by the deadline. Make sure you do all your uploads, make sure you publish everything. There's nothing worse than being that person who hasn't done their homework and slows everyone up at the end. And the final tip is plan the dive and dive the plan, which I think is fantastic. Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Annie. Very useful indeed. And yes, here we have some other tips. Well, I believe that behind a solid presentation, there is a solid research work, and there is no other rule. And of course, if you are here getting ready for the IAC, you have been selected, so you have a solid research because your research has been reviewed by experts in your field. So congrats. Anyway, of course, solid research is not the only point. You need to prepare your presentations, and here we have some suggestions. Well, we know that in presenting, 60% is communication and body language, 30% is how clearly you speak, and 10% is the message. So, yeah, well, I'm Italian. The Congress will be in Italy. We are quite famous for shaking our hands, but do your best during your presentations to be not nervous, to be quite confident with the audience and with your presentation. And try to practice a lot, as also Annie suggested. Practicing is the way. Try to practice with your family and friends. Try to practice with your peers, with your colleagues, or ask your supervisors to organize seminars within your own institutions and outside, and show to other colleagues your presentation. Present to themselves. They will give suggestions. They will make questions that will let you grow. I personally have been presenting, I think my research works in maybe 50, 60 conferences, and I'm still not so confident with the audience. And this is something that you all need to practicing for the entire career to gain confidence. So start as soon as possible. A few common bad presentation habits. Of course, we know talking too fast is not good, and also talking too quietly. We are in an international environment. There will be English mother tongue speakers and people that are not so confident with the language. So try to articulate your language and talk to a good speed. Try to keep eye contact. This is very difficult. And also try to interact with the audience during your speech. This is something that you need to practicing, of course. Don't move too much or not enough. So movement is energy, and of course, if you stimulate your audience too much or not enough, can be a problem. Avoid anyhow to reading your slides and also papers. This is not needed because you have been practicing your slides for a long time, so you know what you are going to say. Try to smile. This is important to get confidence with the audience, and avoid comparing yourself to other speakers. And as usual, avoid poor preparation. Try to prepare early in advance, starting now. Other tips that can be very helpful. Well, as also Anne suggested, try to record yourself and practice positive self-talking, practice breathing techniques, make pause between sentences, work on your posture and body language, seek feedback from your peers, arrive early, meet and greet. And another suggestion I can give you is also to interact during your session. Make questions before, for example, your talk. This will help you to relieve a little bit the pressure. So start talking with others before you talk on the podium. Keep it simple, connect with your audience, listen to others and practice active listening, indeed, and be open to questions. You will receive questions from technical researchers working on your exact field, so they will make very detailed questions, but you will also receive questions from curious people that are listening to your topic, but maybe they are working on different research topics. Anyway, my experience is that you will learn anyhow. You will learn how to make better research. You will learn how to communicate to larger audience and give a better big picture of your view. Know your time limit. do not go beyond the time schedule you have. Dress professionally. You are in a very professional environment with people from all around the world and all around the possible institutions. So dress professionally, and also have a bottle of water with you. This can be helpful. So I think it's pretty much everything we want to say about oral and interactive presentation and involvement in IAC at the moment. We have the pleasure to have here Dr. Isaac Pedosky. Thank you, Isaac, for being here with us. He's lead project manager for IP sessions and will illustrate to us how to prepare the IP presentation for an impressive IP session. Thank you, Isaac, for being here.
Thank you, Alfonso, for that great introduction. Excuse me, and thank you, Annie. Very good info from you both. My name is Isaac Podolsky. As Alfonso said, I'm the lead project manager at IP Sessions, and I want to give a major thank you to the IAF. This is the 5th year in a row that we're working with them, and we just want to thank you for allowing us to continue to provide the software, the presentation software for your great annual conference. Now, let me share my screen here for a bit. So, Alonso, if you want to stop share. Wonderful, thank you. And let's do this and that. Now, hopefully everybody can see my screen. I wanted to show this just briefly to manage your expectations and give you a preview, excuse me, of what to expect when you arrive at Milan. Now, as we can see here, the layout of this very futuristic conference venue provides a sort of a networking atmosphere. And to piggyback off of what Annie was saying, it's a relaxed, but semicircles can form. It is a presentation where it is what you make of it. So please follow along, and I'll show you how to make an eye-popping IP for the 75th IAC in Milan. Now, what is being shown on all of these screens here that are being shown, and what will be shown at the 90 screens at Milan, is going to be one and the same. And that's going to be a web page. It's what we call the IAC IP Gallery. Now, follow along with me here. This is last year's IP Gallery that was installed at Baku. And looking at the gallery here, it's pretty straightforward, regardless if you're trying to find somebody's IP or pulling up your own IP. It'll probably be easiest just to start typing in your last name, perhaps, or use the drop-down menus up at the top, select your country, perhaps you know what category you're in, hopefully, and you can also browse by screen. So this will be roughly similar to what to expect at Milan. Now, all you need to do to pop open an IP is to click on the thumbnail. You'll see a little bit of info underneath each thumbnail. In this case, we have author, first name, last name, presentation ID, and presentation title. So let's click on Mila's poster here, and we'll see that they have created a well-designed, aesthetically pleasing poster. Unfortunately, the research is above my head, but probably not above yours. And looking at an IP at a glance doesn't really do it much justice. I suppose you could design your IP that way, but that's not really utilizing the strengths of the system. Mainly, there is no limit to the amount of content your IP can hold. So in Mila's case, they opened up the first content box they decided to make about the outer space treaty, et cetera, et cetera. And so if we're interested in that and we're presenting, we obviously want to tap with our finger that content box. The screens on site will be touch, so please use your fingers to navigate and pop open these content boxes to explore and scroll the content. Also remember that this is a visual medium, so not too text heavy, high resolution imagery, videos, audio as well, but not necessarily during your presentation. We don't want that. But since your presentation will live on after Milan, an audio presentation or a video presentation is very, very good to have. And I'll show you how to do all of that very soon. You'll notice also when you log in that and select the template that some of the content will be preloaded. We've received some information about you from the IAF, and we have preloaded that onto your IP to make life as easy as possible for you. Actually, speaking of logging in, let me show you the IP 2024 invitation. Let me also say that you should have already received this invitation. We send this invitation to the main author. The main author set forth by the IAF in the data. So it is very, very important that you at least once, if you're receiving assistance by from somebody, if maybe you have an undergraduate student that is doing the IP itself and the design, you need to log in at least once, and then you can invite as many co-authors as you'd like. But you don't need to share your own login credentials. Anyway, I digress. This is what the IP letter of invitation looks like, and it contains a bunch of useful information, none the least, how to ace your IAC 2024 webinar invitation, but I assume you received that because you're here, or looking at it maybe afterwards. But obviously the most important thing is your personal username and your personal password. The deadline date we have plastered everywhere, which is good. And then we have a bunch of other resources down here, but copy and paste your username and password and navigate to the login page right here. And then you paste in your username, password, and click submit. You'll notice that there is no need to download everything. Everything is web-based, HTML5 based. And so all we ask is that you don't use Internet Explorer. You're free to use Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Mozilla. You'll be hard pressed to find one that we don't support. But anyway, so once you log in, you're taken to the welcome page. And just like the letter of invitation, it contains a bunch of useful resources. At the bottom here, since we were a company based in Stockholm, we strictly adhere to GDPR privacy laws. So if you want to read up more about how we handle the data that we receive about you from IAF, you can click there. But next, choose your poster, click the big green button. I know some of you have what we call multiple IP privilege. And so you're the lead author for more than one IP, right? And so this is what you're greeted with. There's a drop-down menu where you're able to select the poster or the presentation, excuse me, that you want to work on. So click that, and you are taken to the template selection screen. Now, this is arguably a quite important step. First of all, you want to decide if you want to just upload a PDF. Maybe you have a PDF of your paper poster lying around on your desktop. Maybe you're hard pressed for time. You can choose the PDF option. You can drag and drop your PDF into here. You can click save. You can click publish. And as an IP author, there is no need to bring a USB stick to Milan. Once you've clicked publish, what that means is that you're not published in a journal. We don't index on any search engines. You don't have to be worried that we're going to promote your IP outside of the conference. At a later date, probably it will become an open resource, but you don't have to worry about the word publish. I know that it is a very charged word in academia, so don't worry about the publish button like that. Anyway, you'll notice that just because we uploaded a PDF doesn't mean that we don't get some of the bells and whistles that regular interactive IP authors get. You still have the ability to do your audio narration. We're looking, of course, to the right-hand menu here, or your video presentation. You're able to book your scheduled time slot or not scheduled, excuse me. You're able to select your time slot of your choosing. And so you do have some interactivity here, but I don't want to waste more time on this demonstration talking about how to upload a PDF. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to go to our second poster. Remember, we have multiple poster privilege here. We'll use the drop-down menu up at the top, and we'll select an interactive template for IP. Perhaps we have maybe we have a PDF on our desktop, and we just want to transfer our content to an IP. So let's choose template number 5 because it has a slideshow option. And we're well aware that nobody sits down with a blank IP template and conducts research from scratch. Everybody is copying and pasting. Everybody is transferring. So we've made life as easy as possible for you in this regard, while still maintaining the integrity of an interactive presentation. So what are we greeted with here? We're greeted with not a lot of preloaded content, but some. We got the poster. We got the poster title. We got the name here, and let me type in my alma mater here, like so. And then what I like to do is I like to start by collapsing the right-hand menu and figure out the layout. Remember, at the template selection screen, you have certain templates with 4 content boxes. You have certain templates with 6 content boxes. So if you have a Word document with 6 paragraphs, that might be a no-brainer. But the layout is quite interesting. Take a look at your previous research and figure out what template best matches your layout. But for this demo, let me just do quickly for the content box titles. We could just do intro, method, etc., etc. Analysis, discussion could be another one. And you'll notice that the content box in the bottom right-hand corner is unlike the others. We can make it a regular content box by clicking the text field, or we can make it an image slider. And if you have a PowerPoint presentation that you would like to embed into your IP, which is a very powerful thing, especially because you might want to be able to pop open that slideshow when you're in front of your screen in Milan. Who knows? It's totally up to you. But save your PowerPoint in the top left-hand corner, export as images, and then drag these images into here. Once they're in there, you can slide them around and make sure they are in the correct order. But the only step you have to do if you want to do a PowerPoint is to select a template with a slideshow option, save your PowerPoint as PNG or JPEG or GIF, and then transfer the images into your slider. It doesn't have to be transferred to the slider necessarily. Maybe you want to disperse your slides into the content boxes. It's totally up to you. But this is how we do it. And if you arrive at any technical hurdles, we're here to take care of you. Support at ipostersessions.com, and we have a 12-hour response time. But it's it's a lot shorter than that usually. Anyway, so we've figured out our layout, and so let me go to my Word document and let me copy and paste my introduction into here. Let me paste my method into here, maybe my discussion into here. So feel free to just copy and paste, transfer the text first. That's usually what I like. And let's say we want to insert an image into our methodology content box. Well, place your cursor where you want the image to appear. I usually like to insert a couple of line breaks for good measure. And you'll notice when we go to a content box in the IP editor, you get this toolbar here. And I won't talk about the bottom row, and I won't talk about the middle row. These are self-explanatory. You know, everybody who's used Word can use these. It's the top row I want to talk about, moving from left to right. Well, not the top left, because that's Command-Z or Control-Z, undo. But moving from left to right, we got the image right here, the image button. So click on image and just drag and drop any image that you find relevant to your methodology content box. And you'll notice here before I joined this demonstration that I gathered all of the multimedia that I knew that I wanted to use for this IP. I gathered it in a folder on the desktop, and I recommend you do the same. That's best practice, especially if you're transferring content from a PowerPoint or a PDF or a Word. Make sure that you have all your ducks in a row so you can easily just drag and drop it into your IP. Now we have alt text, which obviously works for screen readers if you're interested and care about accessibility. You have the alignment here, left, right, center, and you have the caption here. So I'm just going to click OK. Once you click OK, your image will be uploaded where you placed your cursor. Now, moving forward here, let's insert a couple of line breaks. In this content box, let's say we want to add a video. You can choose to embed a video by using this button. We allow for YouTube URLs and Vimeo URLs. Make sure that, for example, China has a firewall that sometimes can be a problem with YouTube videos. So we recommend using Vimeo. But if you have a video on your desktop and you don't feel comfortable uploading it to a hosting service, you can host it on our secure platform, and you can upload a video, and you can drag and drop an MP4, any video format, really. You can upload, and it'll be placed in your content box. Moving on, let's insert a couple of good line breaks. We have an iframe here if you want to embed an iframe. I don't know how relevant it is for you guys, but I think it's a very cool tool. So let's say we want to embed maybe the Worldwide Telescope, which is a cool resource. This iframe, this red button, means it works, and I will show you how to preview the iframe later. But it's a very cool resource, and actually, since you are in the natural sciences, it might be relevant. And contact us if you want to use an external iframe that we haven't approved yet. We have a very good response time there. Moving on. Let's say you want to not add an audio narration for your entire IP, but maybe you want to add an audio snippet in this specific content box. Maybe you have a complicated data set that you want to describe with your own words. Click this speaker icon and drag and drop your MP3 into here. I can do it just so you guys can see it in action. We can generate a transcript with the help of AI, or we can, if you have a manuscript, you can copy and paste it into here, also from an accessibility perspective.
If you've ever used a computer to create a document or a presentation.
So that's what that looks like. Moving forward, let's actually upload a couple of images to our image slider, and I will use a couple of different resolutions so you can see the power, especially at the high screen, the big high resolution large screens in Milan. You'll notice how important it is to be as close to, or even larger, 1920 times 1080 pixels. High resolution imagery is very, very impressive to use in your presentation on site. It will look great. It doesn't matter if you have an IP or an oral. It's always good. It's a visual medium. So I know it says recommended size 960 times 360, but that's only if you want to for the image to fit snug into this rectangular box. However, I always recommend my authors, you will know and attendees will know to click and interact and tap on your IP. So when you tap on your image slider, it will blow up to its full size, but less talking and more showing, like so. Now I'm going to preview. I'm going to click the preview button, and we'll see the what we have so far. The system autosaves every 5 minutes, so you don't have to be too worried about clicking the save button. But here we have our high resolution image. When you tap on it, it will blow up to its full size. You can tap on it again to collapse. You can tap anywhere in the background to exit out. You can tap anywhere on the content box to blow it up. And here's the Worldwide Telescope. So here's our iframe embedded, working nicely. Here is our audio snippet.
If you've ever used a computer.
Playing nicely. And here's the difference between a higher resolution image and a lower resolution image. Obviously, the lower resolution image is acceptable if you don't have anything better, but it's the bigger the better, for sure. I mean, 1920 times 1080, this looks very impressive. And if you want to add a background image to your IP, 1920 times 1080 is obviously also very much recommended. Now, just briefly, and type your questions in the chat, by the way, now or later. I'm happy to answer them, any technical questions you might have, or questions, I suppose, for the other guys as well. But moving from top to bottom, let's take a look at the right-hand menu. Now, up at the tippy top, we have some info about when we want you to click the publish button, when the booking will be available to you, when you can log in, just like we've done now, and select your time slot. But moving from top to bottom here in the right-hand toolbar, we have design. Now, this is self-explanatory. This has all to do with customization, personalization. So if you want a background color with maybe a fill, or you want to universally change the font color, or the text box color like this is where you do that. So this is all about customization and stuff like that. Then narration, this is where you add a narration for your entire IP. Now, this is very powerful, and we definitely recommend you do this. You can upload an MP3 file by using this button, or you can record yourself live and direct in one take, that is, in the software. So your Google Chrome or your Mozilla will probably ask you for permission, and once you click allow, the recording will start. So test 1, 2, this is my audio presentation, narration. It'll take a second to upload, and once we have uploaded, regardless if it's an MP3 file or if we record ourselves, we have the ability once again to generate a transcript or enter a transcript. Test 1, 2, this is my audio presentation. Narration. All right. Yeah, it's always awful to hear your own voice. And so that's the narration. Highly, highly encouraged. Same thing with video presentation. I don't really need to talk about this at all. It's the same thing as your narration, but it's a video instead. You can't record yourself live and direct, but any video format will do. The best case, or what I recommend my authors to do, is that you can do a screen share. Just like Annie and Alonso did at the beginning, you can see their faces, but you can also see what they're doing on screen. And I think that that's a powerful way to present your research without you having to be there. Moving forward, author info, abstract, disclosures, and references. You'll notice that some of these will be preloaded. They are editable. You can change them. And these are just dedicated sections. We didn't want to occupy prime real estate on the template itself. So these are dedicated sections if you have anything to disclose, or if you want to add your CV, for example, in the author info section. So I'm going to add the word test here, just so you'll notice that we have that button at the bottom of our IP. Next, we have book on-site screen. We have not created the time slots yet, but let me be the first to present you the world premiere of the new functionality for this year, the new and improved time booking function. I know that those of you in IP, that were presenting an IP at Baku in Azerbaijan are familiar with this tool. Now it is more limiting in the sense that we're going to group you together with other people in your symposia, which was, I think, the #1 criticism we got. So we've rectified that. You will be at screens with your colleagues. So because, for example, we have multiple poster privilege also, let me just say, what if I have one IP about space law and I have one IP about propulsion? Obviously, the time slots available for my first IP and the screens will be different from the available time slots of my other IP. So just, it's a feature, not a bug. So moving on. Oh, yes, I should also say that this will be available in the beginning of June, approximately 2 weeks, but we will send out a notice when you are free to log in and select your time slot. Next, we have the image and video repositories. What I recommend my authors doing is that we go to our trusty folder and we upload to our image repository all the images that we know that we're going to want to use, right? And so instead of having to upload every time like this, drag and drop, I can simply just add image, go to the image repository, select the image I'm interested in, and then click OK. It's way faster. So that is that. Then we have version history. I won't really talk about that too much. As you see, these are our autosaves. You can always revert back to a previously saved revision to salvage your content if you lose internet access, make a mistake, regret, whatever. So that's that. Then we have the support links. These are in the letter of invitation, so I won't talk about that. If we want to reset the slideshow and we want to make it a regular content box, we can always reset the slideshow box. And then we have the My Settings. I know that some of you, including myself, were working on a smaller screen, so you will have to scroll down the right-hand menu to find My Settings. But here is where you invite your co-authors. Now, log in, go to My Settings, invite these people, give them editing rights, and the system will automatically send them a letter of invitation with their own login credentials. This is very important, so this is where you invite your co-authors. Let me reiterate that. And then we have some other useful settings here, kind of a mishmash of where do you want the contact author button emails to go. By default, it's going to go to the email address that you received your invitation at, but you can, give them to a co-author or a personal Gmail account. So please feel free to explore this section, My Settings. It's very important. And then moving from top to bottom, as always, the preview button, this is what I clicked on previously. So let's click on that again. This is what our poster looks like now. I recommend that you preview often during this creative process. It will give you the best indication of what your IP will display at in Milan. So that is important, and do that, please. Save is self-explanatory, and then we have the publish button. So I'm going to click publish. All that means is that it's now available in the IAC 2024 gallery. I'm looking forward to seeing your IP in there, regardless if it's a PDF or an interactive presentation. I will be on site at Milan with a colleague. We will have an IP support desk, which will also sort of serve as a speaker ready room for the IP people. So if you have any technical issues with your IP, if you want to upload something quickly, if you want to make a change, we're here to help. And so this is all you need to do to create a really good IP. Remember, it's a visual medium, use a lot of images, and it is what you make of it, okay? I suppose it is a learning curve, but I don't think it's very steep. Add your images, add your text, click save, click publish, and you're done. It's way more, intimidating, I guess, than it seems, and you won't regret it. It will drastically increase your visibility at the meeting. It will live on, if you wish, after Milan. And we have IAC presentations. We have IP presentations dating back from 2019 in Washington, D.C. So it's an extremely powerful resource. And before I hand it back over to Annie and Alfonso, this is what we covered. You log in, you select a template, regardless if it's interactive or a PDF template. You upload your presentation, and if you'd like, please, please, please upload a narration, do multimedia, use all the tools. Click save and click publish. No need to bring a USB stick, and that's it. That's it, basically. So that's all it boils down to. And thank you for listening to my spiel. I will now mute myself and answer questions, obviously, if they pop up.
Thank you, Isaac, for your presentation. Thank you for providing this amazing software to us. It's really a pleasure to use it. And yes, we have a number of questions for everyone, so including yourself, Isaac. But before jumping to questions, let me just remark two important aspects regarding the entire program. So both oral and interactive presentations. So usually people ask to us, so with one single registration, how many presentations can we make? There are authors that have been selected for multiple presentations. So the policy is that for one single registration, you can present 2 papers. So either 2 oral presentation, 2 interactive presentation on 1 oral and 1 interactive presentations. If you have 3 presentations, you will need to ask a co-author to make another registration. So 1 registration, 2 presentation. Another very important aspect related to a question we also receive in the last few weeks is about the use of AI and large language models. So AI can be used for some extent. So for example, you are allowed to use AI for translation. You are allowed to use AI to helping you in outlining, for example, your presentation. But of course, you are not allowed to use AI to develop original content. This is against any copyright and ethical recommendations. We have from the IAF, we have the instruments to detect AI generated text. And if we find that there are some papers using AI for generating the text, we are eligible for withdraw the paper. So make sure that you are using the new tools and instruments we have in the proper way. So if you all agree, please, Isaac, yes.
Yeah, sorry, Alfonso, I'll just jump in here really quickly and answer those questions in the chat. It'll take 2 seconds. So the requirements for videos, no, not really. You can do Matroska file, MP4, AVI, whatever. So that's fine. The only time you're really limited is in the image file. So the image file needs to be PNG, JPEG, or GIF. PNG, JPEG, or GIF. And there are converters online if you wish. Then do we have a tip sheet for using the IP software? Yes, it'll be in your letter of invitation and also on the welcome page. It's ipostersessions.com/author resources, and support@ipostersessions.com if you have any technical questions about the IP software. We're here to help. And you will be able to select your IP session time in the beginning of June. So the question was, if we cannot select the time slots for IP sessions now, when will it be available? In the beginning of June. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Isaac. So I will collect other questions and Annie will ask you support to try to answer them. So we have the first question on how can we ensure that an audience will attend our IP session? You want to take this one, Annie?
Sure, thanks, Alfonso. So a couple of options. So before IAC starts, we suggest that you publish your lightning talk and also promote your lightning talk and your talk on social media. You can use the hashtag IAC 2024. We also suggest that you invite your co-authors to do the same. So try and spread the word about your presentation. During IAC, we suggest that you attend the public speaking lab on the Sunday. We also suggest that you attend as many as possible of the other IP and oral sessions and network and make friends. And then, they'll say, oh, when are you presenting? And you can tell them, and then they will come to your interactive presentation as well if they're interested in the same topics. So that's our best suggestion, I think. Back to you, Alfonso.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very useful. And jumping to the next questions. Okay, right. Requirement for videos for the IP Isaac already provided an answer also during the talk. The software is very flexible. Important point is this one. Maybe could you discuss a little more full paper content and structure? Well, I can take this one. So you will be asked to upload your paper in September. We already have on our websites the template available for all the authors, so you can download the template for the full paper. Anyway, we suggest to not exceed the 15 pages for your full manuscript. So try keeping in this page limit. The structure of the manuscript is the same structure you usually use in peer-reviewed journal papers. So usually you will have an abstract that can be the same abstract you uploaded during the abstract submission phase, or you can modify a little bit. Usually you provide a shorter abstract for the full paper. You will have an introduction, then you will discuss methodologies, results, and conclusions, and acknowledgement. So the structure is pretty much the same of the one we suggest also for the presentation. But anyway, have a look at the template. You will find very useful tips in the template itself. And if you have any question, feel free to contact us to our personal emails. You can find on the website or also to the support at ifastro.org. Not sure we have other questions. Annie, do you see other questions I'm missing? Maybe I'm not. Anyway.
No, I think that was all the questions I saw. So I think we can probably finish up.
Yes, thank you. So thank you very much. Thanks for your attention. Thanks everyone for attending this webinar. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Isaac. And of course, keep watching this webinar later on also. It will be available for everyone, and wish you to meet soon, everyone, to the IAC in Milan. Thank you again, and have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.